Who can run the fastest to the top of that sand dune, Damian or myself? Welcome to Slipping Sands, the beautiful anchorage on the Gold Coast. Welcome back to the rudder. My name's Brooke, this is Pippa and this is Molly, and we are on board our Merry Fisher 895 with my husband Damian, the captain. We're going to show you this beautiful anchorage, Slipping Sands, everything you can do here, so let's go. Before we get to the race, let me tell you a little bit about Slipping Sands. Slipping Sands is about 40 minutes north of the Gold Coast Seaway. This is North Stradbroke Island that we can see here. It's a nice protected spot when there's a northerly wind. There's a little bit of a northerly breeze at the moment, so we're gonna be nice and sheltered. Fingers crossed we're gonna have a calm night. Let's hear from Damian now about all the technical aspects when anchoring at Slipping Sands.
As Brooke said, it takes about 40 minutes for us, going about 25 knots, so it's 17 nautical miles from the seaway. Most of that way is under the 40 knot limit. There is a little bit just through Millionaire's Row, which you do have to go slow at 6 knots. But other than that, it's a very easy run to this very accessible anchorage. One of the things you do need to watch out for while you're anchoring here is there's a reasonable tidal flow. I can try and show you that. So the tide does go through here quite quickly, so you'll make sure you've got enough anchor rope out. The other thing is it's kind of on a weird angle. Heading up this way, in front of me is northwest and back to the southeast. So this is really good for a northeasterly breeze, but because it's quite tall, the wind can rip round either side of that. So you do just have to be a bit aware. We've been caught here before. Sometimes you think this should be out of the weather and there's wind getting in here for some reason. But today is super light wind. One of the reasons to come to Slipping Sands is obviously the big sliding hill, but you really need to work out where the tide is. We've just come up to the high tide, and as you can see behind me, basically the water comes all the way up to the Slipping Sands. So you can anchor, we're anchored reasonably close to the shore. It does drop off quite a bit, but we'll check out the low tide. I don't know whether we'll get there tonight. The sun might have set, but we'll grab it in the morning. But yeah, this is high tide now. So if you had your piece of cardboard or your boogie board to slip down the hill, now's the perfect time because you'll shoot out across the water. Brooke also mentioned we're here next to North Stradbroke Island. So North Stradbroke Island's right next to us. We have Russell Island, which we've visited many times before, and essentially Russell Nook is just right over the top of that, right over the top of behind where we are now, that you can see on the map. Let's go inside and check out the tide graph for what you need to know for staying at Slipping Sands. Onto the trusty Garmin. You can see we're in 3 meters of water. I've got my anchor circle out, and if we zoom out a little bit, you can see there's a little island that we're trying to be behind. So this is the main channel up through here. So at the low tide, that island does come out of the water. That gives us a little bit more protection. So this is North Stradbroke Island, and Russell Island's up the top here, and Jumping Pin Bar, South Stradbroke Island, and then all the way down to the seaway. We're currently in 3 meters of water. We've just come off the high tide. So if we go into the tides of water, so it's 1 meter now, and on the low it's going to be 0.2. We're going to lose around 800 mils through the night. It is not a big tidal swing at this time of year, but usually around here the tide's not too great, but there is that tidal flow that you do need to just keep an eye on. So I do suggest having your anchor circle out while anchoring here. We're going to get all the toys in the water and go over to the beach and explore a bit of Slipping Sands. Just while we're floating around, we're in this tide, and a shower's just come in. No, it hasn't. Brooke's being stupid. I just wanted to show you the current that's dripping through. So if you are jumping in, or kids are jumping in, they just need to be aware that it's properly ripping through here. So when you jump overboard, it does move quite quickly. So just be aware of that. And today is not a very big tidal range. So on those bigger tides it certainly will move a bit more. Anyway, something to be aware of. Also like to point out that I am currently fishing and yabbies, and we've got the fishing pole out.
Are you fishing or are you feeding the fish?
No commentary from the ranks.
I will make sure I grab this video camera and record any fishing action that happens during this trip.
But if you are a fisher person, you can do some fishing here. I'm not a very good fishing person, so you probably won't see anything else with the fishing pole again. So we're just heading over to the beach now. I haven't even got the motor engaged, and you'll see that we're falling away from Antoinette quite quickly. Alright, let's get this show on the road.
It goes light up there, and then there's like a stick above it.
All the way at the top.
Well, no, not all the way.
Oh,
Just before those line things.
This stick here, the first stick coming out,
Oh no, that's only halfway up.
the one all the way at the top.
The one just after the white stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. The stage is set. We've limbered up. Sort of.
No, we haven't.
The puppies are limbering
Puppies
up.
are limbering up. They might take us up the hill. We're not sure. We haven't done this before. I'm going to carry the camera, so that gives me distinct disadvantage.
Yeah, but look how much taller you are.
Molly's already leading the way. So what do? So we're going to just past the white bit there.
Yeah.
It is quite steep, as you can see Molly running across.
Ready?
Okay. This is, the stage is set for the first slipping sands race.
Oh, put my way.
Okay. On your marks, get set, go. Oh, I'm taking the early lead. Oh. Oops, falling behind. Oh. Oh. Molly's gonna win. Oh. Here's the finish line. Oh. Molly won anyway. Here comes Brooke. Oh, Pippi came too. You can see, oh, you can see the Gold Coast high rises all the way in the back over there.
Damian just beat me in a running race.
And there's then, we need to catch our breath, 2 seconds. See how high up we are here. The Russell Islands over there. That's the hinterland. And there's Gold Coast over the way. And Pippa's just made it all the way to the bottom. But all this water is going to drain out. Not all of it. This water drains out about another 10 metres or so at the low tide.
Will be dry. That boat over there.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, we were trying to get in behind. You can just see a slip there, a little island that comes out just somewhere around here on the low tide. Now, Brooke's going to demonstrate how to get down the hill in the most fun way. If you don't have a slipping slide. Oh, Molly's coming. All right. Whoa.
I told you I'd bring you the action as it comes to hand. This, my friends, is what is affectionately called a sticky fish. This is as good as Damian's fishing ability gets. Stay tuned for more action.
Welcome to a glorious morning here at Slipping Sands. I just wanted to jump on here now. We're just turning on the tide, so it is low tide, and I don't know if you can see it behind me. I'll show you in a second. But we are just turning around on the tide, so we've been facing to the northwest, and we're just slowly inching around, and we'll be heading towards the southeast in a little bit as that tide fills back in. And you can have a look on the Slipping Sands just from yesterday afternoon how much more beach there is. And here you can see that low tide's really pulled the water out. People playing on the Slipping Sands on the sand dune. The water's nowhere near the dune anymore. And lastly, just while we're here, I think you might be able to see just in the distance there's that island that has come out on the low tide, protecting us from a bit of the wash as people drive by in that main canal. So I've just gone for a 2k sup, a bit warm, it's super humid again, and it's only 7 in the morning. So I'm going to take the puppies across to the beach, and we'll see what the rest of the day brings. But it is a glorious morning this morning. You can see on the charts that we've done a perfect sort of backwards and forwards through the night with our tide, and you can see just that classic, we've just been floating backwards and forwards on the tide. Nowhere near our anchor ring, so all very good. And the low tide, we got to 1.8 meters, so that's going to have another meter of water or so plenty of room for us. The anchor's held firm. We're reasonably close to the beach, but as I said, it drops out nice, so there's plenty of room for us, and it was a really good morning. One thing to note, if you are coming up here, and even if you have screens, make sure you've got your AeroGuard or your bug repellent. There are quite a few midges around. We've had very low winds, which is very comfortable obviously on the boat, but also means that the bugs aren't blown away. So there were a few midges and mosquitoes around, so we had to lock up the mesh last night, but a few still got in. So if you don't have mesh, or if you want to play around, make sure you've got your AeroGuard and your citronella candles or whatever you use. Anyway, I'm going across to the beach, and we'll see what the rest of the day brings. Came across to the puppy beach, and you can see all this, where we were running the puppies yesterday afternoon, was all underwater. So you can see the beach really has drained out a lot with that low tide. Here's the sand hill we ran up yesterday, and it's time for everyone to do their morning thing. Just from the beach, you can see Antoinette on the turn. As that tide comes around, usually we're facing, well, as the tide flows out, we'll face that way. As the water goes that way towards the jumping pin, we're just going to spin around so our nose will face towards me as the tide comes in and fills up. Beautiful morning here this morning, so we're just going to let the puppies do their thing and then have some breakfast, and looks like we could be off to Coochie Mudlow, which is only 10 or 11 nautical miles away, so we might do that for the day, and we'll see you later on.
We've had a stunning day, and we are back here at Slipping Sands for our second night.
Yeah, we were going to go elsewhere, but we've just had a cracking day on the water. The weather is amazing. A weird little thunderstorm popped up out of nowhere. There was not supposed to be any rain whatsoever, and you can see behind us there's big blue skies. But it didn't actually land on us. It was just passed by on the inland. So we decided to come back here because it's just really peaceful and nice.
It's a really pretty easy anchorage at Slipping Sands.
We've just taken in some prawns that we picked up on the way up the other day. So Brooke is out living her best life with some big East Coast prawns and a glass of white on the sup.
yeah, that's everything that there is to offer at Slipping Sands. We hope this video has given you some useful information.
And if you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time on the rudder.
Cheers.
Cheers.